All right, the indirect method. This is where we're going to start with net income, and then we're going to make adjustments related to the balance sheet, ultimately to get operating cash flow. GAAP actually prefers that you use the direct method, but I've honestly seen the indirect method used more, and it's a little bit easier to pull together because you're just grabbing the changes off the balance sheet, and you'll see that in the operating section that we're going to go over. So here is the operating section of the indirect cash flow statement. It looks different than the direct cash flow, but we're going to get the same net result. And you'll notice the first thing that we're grabbing from the top, as we mentioned, is net income. That's our starting point. And then we're going to add back any non-cash related expenses like depreciation and amortization. And you'll see that in the indirect method that I'm adding back the amortization and depreciation that is on the income statement. And this is where the indirect method can be a little bit easier for the operating section, because now I'm just going to grab the changes on the balance sheet related to different categories, different assets, and different liabilities from the balance sheet. So our first category is accounts receivable. I'm going to flip over to the balance sheet and I'm going to reflect the change in accounts receivable year over year. I'm going to do the same thing for inventories. What was the change in my inventory balance sheet accounts year over year? And then I'm going to grab the catch-all for other current and non-current assets. I just realized I labeled this as other and current and non-current assets. Just ignore that. And I'm going to grab all the different categories related to the changes in other items that weren't inventory and accounts receivable and reflect that in the indirect cash flow statement. So I'm going to do the same thing with the liability section. I'm going to go back to the balance sheet for accounts payable, and I'm going to grab the difference year over year related to accounts payable. And then I'm going to do the same thing for unearned revenue. I'm going to go to the balance sheet again. I'm going to look for the change year over year. I'm going to factor that into my cash flow statement. Now, the hard part is making sure you're reflecting this as a positive or negative. Is it a cash outflow or cash inflow related to these balance sheet accounts? You'll know if you got it wrong when cash doesn't tie to the balance sheet in the end. But just keep that in mind. You might grab the difference and realize you need to subtract it rather than add it. And my last catch-all for liabilities is other and current and non-current liabilities. I just realized I did the same thing for the liability section as I did for the assets, so just ignore that. So other current and non-current liabilities, I'm going to factor in the change related to those categories on the balance sheet and then ultimately get this into the indirect cash flow statement. Again, I'm just grabbing these numbers from the balance sheet. All right, let's move on to the investing activities, which is identical to the direct method. We had a sale of held to maturity securities. So we're going to flip over to the balance sheet and grab that difference year over year. Now, we didn't have a gain related to this sale, so we're going to take it at face value. We had a redemption. We got some cash back of $75,000 related to this investment that matured. Property, plant, and equipment. This is your CapEx. Now, you're way better off having a cash schedule related to your CapEx purchases, but we're going to get it off the balance sheet and income statement again. What we need to do is grab the depreciation and amortization off the income statement. That is what has accumulated on the balance sheet. And we're going to take the difference of the intangibles and the fixed assets as well to get to a net $100,000 of CapEx that was used as cash to buy fixed assets in 2025. All right, let's flip over to the financing activities. Again, this looks identical to what's on the direct cash flow statement. And we're going to grab these items off the balance sheet as well. We're going to go to the equity section and grab dividends paid. This was $100,000. Next, I'm going to get the treasury stock, the purchase of common stock that happened in 2025. Grabbing that from the balance sheet, that was $200,000. And my next category I'm going to grab is the long-term financing repayments. These are principal payments, cash we have used to pay down long-term debt, and factor that into the financing activities cash flow statement, which is $600,000. And the last piece I want to grab is this shareholder note. Now, we bought this common stock back in 2025, but then we also issued a shareholder note. So we got to cancel out the cash used to buy back the stock because we issued a note. So you have the $200,000 of the note being issued, which offsets the stock redemption. So now we have all our pieces. We have our operating cash flow, our investing cash flow, and our financing cash flow. So when we factor in those three pieces, we get a net increase in cash and cash equivalents cash flow of $300,000. And when we add that to our beginning cash from the balance sheet, we're going to get our ending cash on the balance sheet of $1.2 million. And you'll see the ending cash flow agrees to the balance sheet. All right, that's an example of a cash flow statement using the indirect method. I hope you learned something from this video. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.